all, your favorite neighborhood super chem lady here. It's Courtney. Anyway, I promised I would show you what my spreadsheet looks like, and my flip cam is being cantankerous, so I'm going to try to show you on my iPad here, so bear with me as I try to figure this out. Okay, turn around here. Okay, so there it is. This is effectively what the spreadsheet looks like where I calculate student grades. You'll see on the far left-hand side we have the assessment titles. Notice that I have included both quizzes and bell ringers and labs and tests alike. That is that black arrow. Let's see if I can do this. There we go. This black arrow here. So these are all my assessments. You can see I kind of squished some things here and there. Just so this would all fit on one page. This column here indicates whether an assessment is formative, F for formative, meaning it is diagnostic, it does not count in the term grade, or S for summative, means it counts. So notice like the lab is an S, the paper was an S, the benchmark is a test, so that's an S, whereas the sticky note and the quiz are all Fs, they're formative. This is your date, just for keeping track of who does what when. Kiddo's name is at the top, so you'll notice instead of the traditional grade book where the names go down the side, the names are across the top. And so John is here and Becky would be next and so on and so forth down the line. Date of assessment, okay, name. Letter grade over here. You'll notice there are two things with the letter grade. I have both a number and a letter itself. Thank you to Steve Harris for creating this spreadsheet. I am not this clever. He figured out a way to make the number scale that we invented, or that we came up with as far as whether something is an A- or a B or whatever. And so Excel automatically puts that grade up there for me. So this is where I get the term grades, but where does that number come from? Continuing on down the spreadsheet, so I can get the rest of those notes in there. There we go. So these would be all the standards. I showed you mine. For chem, I showed you the first standard. This is only from second semester is what this is. So that's why there's nothing in standard 2, 3, and 4, because that's all stuff I covered first semester. And then here in standard 5 and 6 is kind of what we focused on in second semester. The numbers are the scores received. Notice that, as it says here, notice that separate standards are scored separately. So this benchmark here covered both standard 5 and standard 6, so I have 2 scores for that kiddo. And I keep them as 2 scores, as you see here. Even in Parent Portal, which is our online system, I will still put in benchmark grade standard 5, benchmark grade standard 6. I keep them separate as long as humanly possible. Some of my boxes have this little red, I don't know if you can see it there, but there's a little red corner marker right there. And that means that that score is a retake score. If I were to hover over that, a comment would appear showing me the original score. So this kiddo in particular started off with a not so good lab grade, but he redid it, did some extra work, and a 3.96 is about as close to perfect as you can get on that second go around. Occasionally, I will just have notes for myself. If a lot of times with the sticky notes, I will, there we go. I will have the kiddos say specifically whether or not they are doing well with a particular topic. So sometimes that little red mark there will just be indicative of which sections they're having problems with within that standard. Sorry, this is so bumpy and funky. Gotta be a better way to do this. Alright, so that's kind of what all the numbers are in here, but all of the math action happens down here. So at the bottom of the spreadsheet, this first row here, total with diagnostic, that is the grade including any diagnostic, sticky notes, quizzes, anything like that. I don't use this column, some teachers do. I don't think diagnostics belong in the term grade, so this is purely for your information. Notice that the only standards that have grades are the ones that I've done so far. And this is just an average of all of the summative scores within the column for that standard. Mode, if you remember your algebra, is the most frequent score, but you got to have more than one for that to happen. So you'll notice here in standard 1, we only had 1 score, this 4 here, so there's no mode. Same thing here. This comes from, I think it was Marzano that said that the most frequently reoccurring score is obviously the most accurate one. Sometimes this might be true, sometimes not, so this is included just to give me another piece of data to potentially use in determining student grades. This standard average here is an average of all the standards in a particular column, all of the summatives, in a particular column, only the summatives. So this is just summatives, this is summatives and diagnostics. This row here is the one that I care about personally. I like to use the average. At this point, I don't have enough tests to really look at the mode for a particular standard. So even though Marzano, and I think Ken O'Connor might agree, that the mode is potentially the more accurate assessment of student grades, you have to have a lot of tests and a lot of assessments in order for that to work, and I just don't have enough. So I'm stuck with using the average. I know averages, once you average things together, they start losing meaning, but with the spreadsheet worked out this way, like this, I can expand a single grade into all kinds of detailed data. Standard score here, if I need to override something, so let's say that I like the mode more than the average. If I put the mode score here, it will override the average score when calculating the term grade. This row down here allows me to weight standards differently. Sometimes you've got a power standard that's more important than the others. Mine, not so much, which is why everybody's weighted 10%. So Excel will take the average, standard average, and the standard weight in order to calculate this term grade here. If there is no data in that column, obviously Excel won't use it. These Y's here were to make Excel happy. Excel did not like the fact that I had boxes that were involved in the calculation of the grade that did not have numbers in them. So this tells Excel to count it. Yes, we have numbers there. I want you to count it. Down here you'll see their exam and their term value scores being factored in to create this final average here. I particularly love this spreadsheet. I did do this on paper for a time before Steve the Wonderful created this for us teachers that are using it. I did do this on paper, and it's not that bad. You generally have to just stick with an average, but it's still not too bad. It really doesn't take that much more time than any other gradebook you might have been doing before. And I love the fact that I can track students' grades over time. For example, look at right here. We had a 2.5 on a quiz. That tells me that that kid is doing pretty good. He's got a basic understanding of what's going on, but he still could use a little bit of help. It also tells the student the same thing. We got a little bit more that we need to work on. Next quiz rolls around. Look at that, 3.5. Shows me the student has in fact improved. Test rolls around, 3.68, even better. So it allows me to see the progression over time of how a student is doing on a particular topic. Because when you start, as I said, averages are dangerous. As soon as you start averaging scores together, it's hard to know exactly what they're referring to and tracking a student's ability. So this spreadsheet can be as big or as little as you want. You can record as much or as little as you like. Again, I've got some more formatives that are kind of squished in the middle here that I eliminated just for the sake of space. But if you are not tracking standards individually for your kiddos, it is simply amazing. I think you should take the time to do it, simply because it allows you to open up your gradebook and say, aha, Susie needs to work on her equations. The rest of her scores are good, but right here, this is what is difficult. Instead of saying, all right, Unit 2 test, she got a 95, or Quiz 4, she got a 13 out of 16. What does that mean? I love these numbers because they're so simple, so clear. The decimals are kind of a necessary evil, at least for now, that allows me to, in the previous video I showed you how I actually calculate those decimals on the rubrics, and so having some math there allows me to feel like I'm being consistent. If you will walk with me, I will show you my percentage conversions. There it is. It lives on my wall. So this is the sheet that I use to convert from letters to cis numbers to percentages. The first two columns are all that I use because, as I told you, I hate percentages, I hate points. As soon as you introduce those, kiddos start focusing on, okay, how many more points do I need to get an A? So by using just the numbers, or even better, just the letters, it puts the focus back on your level of understanding. So these words have kind of changed for me over time. Now I call a 2 basic and a 1 introductory. I think that is a little bit kinder term and more indicative of where a student is. So I hope that gives you a little bit more information on how I grade, how I record my grades. Since this spreadsheet over here is not available online for parents, what I tend to do is I just shoot out a screenshot if a parent or a student ever wants to see what I am using to grade them, because SIS isn't this detailed, our parent portal, our online thing. So this exists on my Excel, ready and waiting for anybody that wants to see it. So I hope that gives you a little bit more information on exactly, again, how I report things. Best of luck in your own standards-based journey. If I can be of any further assistance, please let me know. No, I won't give you the Excel spreadsheet. Sorry, because I didn't create it. That's not my place. But I can help you figure out another way to do it. So, yeah, best of luck and have a great day.